I want to bring in my friend Brandon Brice, who kind of disappeared on me a few years ago. He's a Republican strategist and a political contributor to hiphoprepublican.com. Long time no see, Brandon.
How are you, Andrew?
Fine. How are you? You and I have talked about this time and time again, and we were talking about this years ago. That what is the benefit to voting Democrat if you're black or Latino?
Well, I think, Andrew, one of the issues is that we're looking at an emotional race. If we look at Governor Romney when he was running for president, very rarely he really talked about education, which is a very critical issue in the African American and Hispanic community. And then when he talked about business, which was his expertise, he very rarely talked about urban economic development as opposed to talking about creating jobs and creating business. And so I think the GOP has a major issue, unfortunately, with not necessarily just the messaging, but the marketing and targeting towards these different communities.
You know, I would agree with the point that Republicans seem to fail to harness the power of places where they should win. For example, if you brought a Republican candidate into a minority community where the schools are not serving the kids' best interests and got up on the stage and said, who do you think should control these schools, the outcome of your child's education, you or bureaucrats? I don't know a parent in America that would just give their child up like that. I think Republicans win on school vouchers.
But I think, Andrew, one of the issues is that the parents simply don't know. And according to the teachers' unions, and let me be clear, there are some teachers' union members who do believe in real education reform, but the leadership of the teachers' unions, they're keeping the parents out. So not only are we talking about a school choice and education reform issue, but we're also talking about parental involvement, which is a key issue, which is something that Governor Romney should have put more emphasis on during the election.
What about private property and retaining the fruits of one's labor? We have seen immigrants come to this country, start at the bottom of the economic food chain. Think of maybe Irish fleeing the potato famine, and then years later, or Jews coming in from Russia, or what have you, Indian Americans or Americans of Indian descent, starting at the bottom of the economic food chain, making responsible choices, investing in their children, and you check in with that same family lineage 2 or 3 generations later, and they're in a very different position than the patriarchs who started the line here in the United States. Why have we allowed that sort of economic elevation to bypass minorities in this country?
Well, I think one of the issues is the whole point of urban innovation. It really no longer exists anymore. And I think one of the bigger issues is that when you take the president, he had an opportunity to fully fund the Small Business Administration, which when we look at business creation, small businesses are the #1 driver in the economy. And on top of that, most people tend to hire those individuals that look like them. And so the fact that more money is being placed into a failed healthcare system that really is not working, that the American people and seniors clearly said they didn't want, and that money is not going into urban innovation, going into small business development, then I think we see where the problem is. And I think this is a perpetual problem. And to be honest with you, it's not what America was intended to be.